Hello everybody and welcome to this walkthrough of the Textguides with me, Tommy, and Mr. RJTV. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. I'm just getting my iPhone ready for this tournament, and we're going to be all set to get that gold because, with the brand new tournament, you got to make sure we got our grids on.
Oh my god, hilarious. Okay, so in this walkthrough, everyone, we're going to go over the holes in the Winter Major Tournament that starts in almost in 10 hours from now. And we're gonna give you the latest information about how you play from front, second and third tee. It's new holes, 9 brand new holes, and that's always exciting. It's called the Maple Bay. And you can practice them for the front tee on tour number 5, the World Links, from second tee on tour number 10, the Club Oceania, and on tour number 11 for third tee, which is the Voyager Tour. And it's completely understandable that you might not be having the founds to be able to practice the holes, but at least we want to give you the option to when explaining where you can find them. So, as always as well, do not forget to subscribe to both of the channels. Here you press the subscribe button to get to Mr. RJTV. You search for It's RJTV here on YouTube and you hit subscribe and go in and watch a bunch of videos and live streams and stuff like that, And I think we're just gonna go at it. It's going to be a little bit longer video, and I want to say directly from the start, before we started covering the holes, we are like the thing that we do is to give you the advice on how to get to the weekend round and better. We are not here to just be heroes and say that you can play with beginner clubs and maybe hopefully you're going to get to the opening round or to the weekend. That might be that we're going to suggest you to play with a ball that you aren't playing with otherwise. You maybe play with basic ball only, but maybe you will have to play with a power 3 ball to achieve the best possible outcome on that possible hole. I just want to say that directly from the beginning so there is no confusion here in the end. And as always, any type of questions, let us know in the comment section below. Now I'm going to breathe a little bit and I'm going to throw over the ball to you, my friend, and you are going to start with hole number 1, par 4. How do we play that one?
Okay, well, I mean, just to echo what you just said, basic balls, in my opinion, have no place in a tournament. If you are playing with a basic ball and you're doing good, you could be moving up and getting better prizes. So, yeah, I echo your sentiment 100%. This especially, it's a major. You want that beautiful banner to, whether if it's a first place banner, awesome. But even if it's just a weekend round banner, if you come in 100th place, you definitely want the banner. So buy the cheapest deal. Or, make sure you're playing those golden shots and get as many power 3 and wind resistant balls and everything as possible. Anyway, the very first hole has a 10% elevation change. So keep that in mind. I like going to the right side, which is the black line. So we're going to be using the extra mile. I'm recommending at this point, not knowing the wind, a power 3 ball. However, if we have a straight tailwind, a basic ball will work. But don't use the basic ball. Use a Marlin because it decreases the wind a little bit and it also gives you a little bit of wiggle room with the side spin. Your second shot as well is a 10% shot, and bring your thorn, or if you have a really accurate short iron, and maybe you could start off with an eagle.
That would be awesome, and I do believe that we're going to see some eagles on this par 4, and I think the general in this tournament, the par 4 is going to be eagle opportunities. If we play from second tee, we're going to follow the black line here, no matter what type of wind we're going to have. The only thing that I would like you to do is, like, let's say you have a headwind, then we can back up our target a little bit and play it before the bunker on the right, because that would take us away from having to overpower our shot, and we would still, with the topspin that we're having, be able to bounce in between the bunkers or over the bunker on the right. So the thing that we do, if we do play over the left bunker, don't use more than 1 bar of topspin. And if we do have to bounce before the bunker on the right, let's say we do have headwind, then we play with as much topspin that we possibly can. If we play from 30, if we do have a headwind, we cannot reach over there to the right. That's going to be yeah, not impossible, of course, but very, very hard. And then we need to switch and play the white line, get ourselves over to the fairway there on the top. Then we should be able to reach from there with a wood club. Second shot from the right is, as I already say, is a short iron. The thorn or the hornet is the one to play with there. We do have a mound, I think it's called. I can't actually learn that word today. That you have in the middle of the fairway there. So play on it, like it's more to the right, and you might have to use some left side spin to be able to perfectly go towards the pin, but use that one. It gives you a flat bounce, and then when you have a flat green, which going to be giving us a very good opportunity here. So when we do play here, the wind decides what ball we're going to play. Like Titan, Kingmaker, Berserker maybe. Like if we have a smashing tailwind, then we might be able to go to green directly. You know, there is opportunities here, but normally we're going to play it in that way that we both explained. 10% downhill for first shot, 10% downhill for second shot, for second tee and third tee as well. So we're gonna go to hole number 2, par 5. Oh my god, so many lines. But how do we play from front tee here?
Well, from the front tee for us rookies, you guys smelling that? Woo-wee! That is the white line, guys, for us anyway. We want to take the black line. Why? Because it takes a stroke off. So we're going with the extra mile with the right side, on the right side. Once again, power 3 ball. Guys, it's needed. We're taking strokes off here. I would go with 4 topspin to get as far up that fairway as you possibly can to set up your second shot with the big dog. With the big dog, you kind of want to almost like where the black box is, but it's like you kind of hop over just a portion of the rough and sand, maybe a little bit of the water. And with that, you're also going to be there. You know, you're going to want to use one backspin because you don't want to end up short, but at the same time, you don't want your ball sailing and having to save yourself with the rough. It's a really small green.
Yeah, it's a tough par 5, and we're gonna come to that with the other par 5s. There isn't that good albatross opportunities here. There is an albatross opportunity, and I'm going to come to that, but that is going to be risky and tough. We are going to follow the black line or the blue line. If we do get tailwind, we're going to go full blast overpower, get over to the third, like second or third fairway, whatever we want to call it, but according to the blue line. Then from that approach, we're going to have a crosswind if we do have tailwind. As for the wind, it's never going to change in a tournament. And then we're going to play with a wood club, a long iron, that is going to give us backspin. Guardian for the wood club. We're going to play with Tsunami or the Saturn for the long iron. If we don't have tailwind, then we're going to bounce ourselves there in front, as according to the black line. Then we're going to have to play, like you can see the black box, and that's a perfect actually spot for where we do want to put our landing position. It's not going to be max distance, but it's going to be just before there is this kind of hump there on the fairway, which is going to otherwise mess up our like consistency with the bounce. So we want to play before that, bounce as Ardit said, as close to the top, and then we do have a big dog or a cataclysm to get to the green. We either play on the right side of the water. If we do want to play it aggressively, from that we can bounce it on the fairway to bounce in the tiny rough that is just by the green up onto the green. Very hard to get that shot done. It all depends on the wind that we're going to have. The fairway there is very bumpy, and me myself had the luxury to take a swim when I tried that one out, because I got a very weird bounce. First shot 10% downhill. The second shot you can play it in both 10% and 20% downhill. And I say both because I've been achieving a great result with both. That's why I want to say it. But the text guys say 20, and then you can of course rely on that. But I want to say both, and then you're not going to be far away. Power 3 ball, second and third tee. Maybe a berserker ball from third tee if you do have some tailwind, because there is a huge advantage if you're getting over to the second slash third tee, third fairway.
We're tongue-tied.
Oh my god, yeah, like English. Swinglish is better to be said, I guess. Hole number 3, par 3. Can we get an hole in one on this one?
Uh, you can. I wouldn't be so upset if you didn't. The main thing you want to do is stay on the putting surface close to the flag. But I mean, if you can get it in the hole, absolutely. Now, if you want the highest chance of a hole in one, I would go with a backbone at medium distance with a katana. If you watch one of Tommy's videos, I'm not sure what the title is. Tommy gets the hole in one and makes it look really easy, and that's because it is. However, because we're rookies, it might not. It'll take a little bit of practice to dial it in. If you put the practice in, you'll be good. Either way, with the katana, you're going to go full right spin, one back spin, and you're going to play it on the black line. However, if you want to save on the balls, you could go with the Quasar, which is the cheapest side spin two ball. I would still go with full right spin, but I would also put a tiny bit of right curl too, just so when you take your shot, you're not taking away the chance at the hole in one, you're just decreasing it, because let's face it, side spin's better than curl when we're trying to get a hole in one. 10% adjustment if I haven't said it.
Totally agree, and we're going to play it the same way from second and third tee. The only thing that is going to change here for us is the clubs. If we play from the second tee, we're going to play with either a long iron, or we're going to play with a wood club. If we play with a power 3 ball and have crosswind or tailwind, we're going to play with a long iron. If we do play with a wood club, with a power 3 ball in headwind, we're most likely going to turn over and get into wood club situation, and then we can decide if we still want to play with a wood club, even with the crosswind and also headwind in a better way. We can use a ball with more wind resistance combined with less power, like a Santa ball or a spider ball or whatever. The thing that is here as well is that there is a rough bump that we can play on the rough on top of the black marker, of course a little bit closer to the fairway on the other side. That one we do need to use some curl as well to dial that one in, and the wind is going to decide if that's going to be an option or not in the tournament. So I'm not going to go into details. I'm going to go into that in detail, if so, in the playthrough when we do know the tournament wind. If we do have a wind that is coming right to left, we are going to be pushed to play or like adjust down into the bunker if we're playing according to the black line. Then it could be better to play according to the white line, so we don't have to mess up with a lower trajectory and therefore going to like lose distance and stuff like that, and it's just going to be a mess. Then we could play the white line to giving ourselves that possibility to have just the same type of height of surface all the time with our adjustment there. Third tee, we're going to change, and we're going to play with a wood club here in all type of wind. And that is going to be very important to have in mind. The wood club is going to be the sniper all the time, very important. This is going to be a possible hole-in-one in my opinion for the second and the third tee. The biggest reason for that is that the green is flat. So we are not going to have that many bumpy parts there, and we're going to be able to get this ball very close. But once again, like as I already said, downhill 10%, very important. And if we can use a ball with more wind resistance, the lower wind we have, the higher opportunity we're going to have to get a hole-in-one. Hole number 4, another par 4, which looks tricky, but I would say it's a good chance for us to get an hole-in-one. No, not an hole-in-one. Eagle. Yeah.
I was going to say, what shot are you taking?
Yeah.
All right. So hole number 4, once again, is a 10% adjustment just to start things off. I would go with full top spin and play on the top left side of the fairway, right there on the right-hand side, because it's kind of elevated, making your bounce a little easier to go over the sand and onto the next fairway. And then that'll set you up. Also, that's full top spin as well, sorry. And then also, if we're in rookie, we're probably going to bring the Viper. And we're going to be playing that at minimum distance with a rough bump right where you see that black box. However, in the case of straight tailwind, you're going to have to make sure you eat 30 minutes before playing this hole and get your arm floaties just in case you get a cramp, because we're looking at that white line. Now, I've talked with Playdemic, and their insurance is not covering anything if you hit the boats. So you need to make sure to bring the extra mile or some sort of power club that you have, and you can try a rough bump, or if you even end up stuck in the rough or the sand, I believe you could make a really good argument for it being an easier shot with, if you're lucky enough to have a Razor or a Malibu or something, right where that white square is, whether it's in the sand or in the rough, than you would with a Viper from 100 and some odd yards out, 200 yards out. So two ways you could play it. If you do want to get risky, I think that the white line could definitely take a stroke off for you, but I think a few people might possibly end up in the water if we don't have that tailwind.
Yeah, you explained it very well, and I would say that I'm going to cover some more technical parts that is going to mostly happen from, like, it's going to happen from all T, but something that is very important with a stronger wind. It's like, first, like, white line, tailwind, like second T, third T, berserker ball, full blast overpower. Worst case scenarios are, they say, we're going to get stuck in the sand or in the rough, and then we are just a perfect shot away from an eagle. And that is going to be more likely to drop than it's going to be to drop a wood club shot or a long iron shot from distance. If we do have headwind, crosswind, we play according to the black line, bounce it over, and here is the part that I want to get into a little bit more detail. It's like, let's say you're going to bounce over the fairway here and bounce into the rough and go short on the fairway. Let's say that you go on the bottom half of the fairway on the other side of the first bunker. The thing that happened there is that you're going to be on a surface that is in the same height as where the pin is standing, which means that you're not going to have to over adjust your second shot at all. But, however, if you do bounce directly over the bunker, you're going to gain distance, so you're going to be on the top half of that fairway because it's uphill. So you do have a slope there that is going to get the ball to stop, even though if you come in hot. That is going to mean that you're going to play from a higher point down to a lower point where the rough or like the pin is, which means that you have to over adjust 10%. That detail is crucial when you play the rough bump, especially with a higher wind. Like if the let's say a sniper, for an example, that could be a difference of half a ring to getting it where you want. And when you do need to work with those tiny bit of adjustment to get stuff to drop, that is something that you do need to have in mind. Let's say as well that you get over to the other side, you could be in between clubs with a strong tailwind from that side. And tailwind from that side doesn't mean we have tailwind from the tee, it would mean that we'd be having crosswind from the tee, because that would give us tailwind for the approach. Then we can go to the back of the green, which has a slope that as well, that we can go on the back, let the ball fall back down towards the pin for a possible eagle that way as well. So there is some tiny things just to have in mind here, but we'll see what type of wind we're going to have. I hope we don't have tailwind, then this is going to be a little bit just the luck of the bounce. We're going to hit the ball on the other side. So I hope we're going to have to focus on getting the rough bump in or the direct shot in there for hole number 4. Downhill, 10% for the drive, and once again, either no elevation adjustment for the second shot, or you're going to use 10% extra for that one as well. Hope that makes sense. Otherwise, just as normal, make a comment and I will try to explain it better. I can understand that it's hard to understand, especially if you're not working that much with elevation adjustments and stuff like that. Hole number 5, another par 5, which I would say is going to be tough in general, especially from the front tee. What do you say about this, RJ?
I agree. There's a couple different ways to play this hole. First of all, because I always forget, I just want to say the obligatory 10%. Especially because if you're going to play with any type of headwind and you know the wind blowing in your face, not a lot, but enough to where you don't want to jump over the first batch of rough there, you're going to want full topspin, left spin, and you're going to play very close to that green. So if you don't watch out for that 10% adjustment, you might just land in the green, and then that takes all possibilities of the eagle out of play. So always make sure you're adjusting for elevation. Another thing I want to say is even if you're going to lay up a little bit like that, you got to bring a power three ball, not so much for the first shot, but for the second shot. So the first thing I want to say, I'm going to tell them both at the same time, is either you're going to hit, you're going to make contact, the ball's going to land where the first black box is, and you're going to jump over and roll up. Or if you have some tailwind or you're very confident in your ability to hit it perfect, then you can just jump and land on that second fairway there, and that will obviously get you even further and close. The closer to the top of the second fairway that you are, the easier you'll have for your next shot. And then we're also going to be bringing the big dog. Now, depending on how far up you get is going to depend on how much topspin, how much backspin you're going to need. Chances are, if you bounce over the rough, you're probably going to need to put a little bit of topspin on and a lot of right curl, because I'm going to assume if you're lucky, you're going to be able to hit that little patch of fairway that's in the middle of the sand up there by the top black box. But if you are jumping over and using topspin and you're able to get near the top of that second fairway, well, then you're going to use backspin, because your big dog will reach all the way to the fairway where that black line is. And, it's a much easier eagle opportunity. So if you can make the jump, I highly suggest it, because you could be taking a shot off. Worst case scenario, if you can't make it up there and you need to lay up a second time, then you're going to be trying to chip for eagle with either a short iron or a wedge at max distance, which, is not a very high percentage shot. So that's what I know. A lot of talking, but there's just so many variables on this hole.
I totally agree. And I like par fives like this, where you need to push it for drive, second shot, and eventually maybe our third shot as well, to be able to achieve the goal, which is the eagle on this one. I would say right away that the only way the albatross would be in play in a good way would be if we would be getting tailwind, play of course from the front tee, but especially from the second tee and the third tee, which would be possible for us to make the ball carry over to the second fairway, to then use topspin to roll over like the white line is suggesting there. That would leave us with a long iron towards the pin, which of course going to increase the possibility for us to make the albatross. But if we do have any other type of wind than that, then we're going to play according to the black line, bounce ourselves over, going to have a very long shot towards the pin. And if we would be having headwind on this one, we are going to have a tough time to be able to go directly to the green, and we'll have to use that tiny bit of fairway inside the amount of bunker that we do have there before the green, and bounce there over towards the pin. And that, if we do need to do that, then the albatross is almost going to be gone, because then we have no way to adjust to go for the pin, and then we just need to be okay with an eagle. I honestly hope we're going to get a hole like that, so we're not having to albatross opportunity all the time. That's the negative part with tailwind. But of course the positive part with tailwind is that we do get an opportunity for an extra drop, and that it's always fun. Downhill 10% first shot, downhill 10% second shot. And I would say that if we do have wind that allows it, I would say that we do have almost all type of wind except for headwind from the third tee. Then I would go with the Guardian. The reason I would go with the Guardian is because I would like to have more backspin than what the big dog is suggesting. And the Guardian in a level like level 8, for an example, which many players have, but also in level 7, but mostly level 8, has 179 yards. That's a difference of 1 yard with the big dog and the Cataclysm. And then from 30, Cataclysm would be... if you play Master, you most likely have the Guardian maxed out, and then you choose between the Guardian or you play with the Cataclysm, in my opinion there. Here it could be good from the especially from the 30, to maybe play with a power 4 ball like a Dead Ball, Royal Ball, Kingmaker X or something like that, to give yourself a little bit more distance. But if we would be having tailwind, for an example, then we can play with a power 3 ball again, because once again, tailwind's going to make this hole be pretty easy, and with headwind crosswind it's going to be fun, in my opinion, because it's going to be tough. Then we're gonna go to hole number 6, par 3 hole, which looks on the picture here to be fairly easy, but like if you have seen this one in the game, you are going to be pretty surprised about how it actually looks. So how do we play this hole from front tee?
Well, one way you really can't tell from two-dimensional or one-dimensional picture, I should say, is the slope at the back of the putting surface. So we're definitely going to take advantage of that. I believe that's the reason why Tommy only has one line, which is the black line. It's just so much safer than trying to go on the little tail over there on the left-hand side. I would bring the backbone, and we're going to need about 3 topspin. I'm going to save you guys a ball here and say a Marlin will work just fine. Technically, a basic ball would work here if you really want to save, but this is a majors, guy. We don't use plain white balls. No. James would have a fit at you anyway too as well. So at least you got to have the Marlin in there. But if you want to save a ball, this is the hole to do so. 3 top spin, full left spin with a Marlin ball. And the reason why there's a little bit of top spin there, again, is because it's almost like a ramp. It kind of reminds me of one of those Tour 6 holes that kind of like funnel you down towards the hole a little bit. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I can add for the part that using the left tail there, that left tail is pushing you even more out to the left. So that's going to be a no-go no matter what type of wind you're going to have. It's basically a way that I think it's done, made to not deliberately fool us, but in the end start to think if that's going to be a possibility to make that shot. First, I want to start by saying 20% downhill is important. All tee is included, and we are going to follow the black line in many cases. The only thing that could make me consider anything else would be a perfectly straight crosswind. And the thing that I would like to try then, or do then, is to go with the rough bump. That isn't written out here on the text guide, but it exists. And a big reason why I'm not having it here in the guide is that I do not want to suggest that one in headwind or tailwind, because it's a very tiny rough bump. And I think it's poor to try to describe that rough bump in tailwind and headwind. And also when it comes to rough bump, that we do need to understand is that if we do hit a great shot, let's say we hit a great shot instead of a perfect, going to lose some distance. We're definitely going to lose in terms of direction, either to the left or to the right, depending on how the wind is blowing. And that is going to make us to not get the ball in the hole if we're not just are extremely lucky. And the worst thing would be if we would be getting ourselves in the sand or in the rough. So if you're not feeling that you do have a very high percentage of perfect when playing with your wood club, which would be the sniper in this case from second tee, and also sniper from the third tee, but mostly the second tee, then I would not consider you to would not say that you should be playing the rough bump. But it's up to you. You use the 20%. Then you're going to be fine. Otherwise, we play according to the black line, and that's going to be the way that we play from the 30 as well. And of course, the 30 players playing Master, they do hit perfect more often. And with a wind 5 ball, we can reduce the wind, and then the rough bump is going to be in play as well with a crosswind. Otherwise, just try to stay away from it. This is not going to be a general hole-in-one hole, so I don't see ourselves pushing too hard on this one. I think it's going to cause more trouble than not. But I hope I'm wrong, you know. I want you all to succeed to get the balls to get in the hole, but I wanted to explain why I'm not pushing that hard for the rough bump, at least yet. We will see what the wind is going to give us when it comes to the start of the tournament. Hole number 7 now, the last of the par 4. Once again, we're going to have a pretty short par 4 with, in my opinion, an opportunity to drop it for an eagle.
Okay, guys, I just got back from talking with my manager, and we have an extra low price for you today. I tell you what, we're going to use another Marlin right here. They're going to save your balls for you. That's why you come here and you come to It's RJ TV car dealership. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, Yes, you could use another marlin here. Do I really recommend it? It's not that great of a ball, but we're not using basic balls, remember? But in terms of distance and needing power on your ball, a marlin will be fine. I like the black line. Now, us that have lower level extra miles, we gotta hit it perfect or like super great close to perfect because we're going to be landing on that smaller fairway. We are going to be going with full top spin and full left spin, and that will bring us up to right around the black box. If you have, I don't know if a big topper would work or if you would even recommend a big topper, but maybe you could even get a little bit further up. I'll let Tommy answer that next. But for right now, let's just stick with the extra mile. Your second shot is also 10%. However, if you're very accurate, you're going to be doing this with a thorn. Four backspin, full right spin. Make sure you put that 10% in and use, or the 10%, and make sure you're using the backspin. And you can also, it still has a slope at the back of the green. It's kind of like the theme for this course. They don't want you to go past it, so you can use that as well for it to roll down and get a lucky eagle.
Yeah, to answer that one with the big topper here, it's like if we do choose the big topper, we need to expect that we're not having a big topper that is higher than level 2, level 3 maybe, and that is going to make us have at least a 15 to 20 yard difference in terms of distance. So be able to play on the island there would be possible, but with a power 3 ball, it would also lower the accuracy that we have, which will make a great shot very tough to achieve something good with. But I would say as well, the difference that is the most crucial part is that you cannot use more than 6 or 7 bars of topspin on this one, because then you could potentially go too long. It doesn't look like
Oh,
that,
okay.
but that is actually a fact. I've done it, so it sucks, but because it takes away an opportunity. The thing that you can do though, if you do not feel confident enough to play on that island, you can play according to the white line, but then you do need distance. Then you do need topspin, which would be needed at least a 5 bars plus in terms of topspin. And then we do need some curl to the left as well to be able to bounce over according to the white line. And mostly I'm going to suggest that white line if we do have headwind or a very strong crosswind playing in the master division from the third tee, because then we will be having a hard time to go even on the island in the middle. From second tee, I would play on that island with all type of wind and bounce myself over there. The thing that I want to spend a couple of seconds to go into detail with is like, let's say we have a crosswind going for the island. We're most likely going to drop down into the sand either to the left or to the right when we do make our adjustment. The thing that happens there, go from a higher point to a lower point, which means that we are going to lose distance. So that means that when you have done your adjustment, let's say you adjust your 5 rings down into the sand and you get to a lower point, you need to push your landing position or your target 1 ring towards the pin to compensate for the distance you are losing from going from a higher point to a lower point. I want to cover that because if you do not do that, you're going to go short and you might going to cut the rough in the beginning if you aim too low on the island, or you're going to go into the sand. Second shot, I like to go directly on the pin with a thorn. We can go a max backspin shot to go directly to use the backspin to roll back towards the pin, or we use the back of the green. That's down to you to decide. 10% downhill drive, 10% downhill for the second shot as well, and then we should be good. Hole number 8, the last of the par 3s, and this one is also a course where it, like, without any description or text, it looks like a pretty straightforward hole, but there is one thing that is going to be very tricky for you, and I think RJ is going to go into that as well.
They had to throw it in there. 30%. 30% is the elevation difference we're going to be using here, or the elevation. So a lot of people that don't understand elevation could be ending up in the sand, either the front sand or the larger group of sand. Another thing, a lot of people are going to be carrying their backbones pretty much the whole tournament. I believe that at this point, you're definitely going to want to bring your Goliath. It's better to take this shot with a long iron than it would be a wood, and you don't want to be in between clubs as well. So I would also you could use the navigator. We're still going to cut you a deal on the on keeping the ball price low since those those first few holes was power three, power three, power three. But yes, you definitely need to aim between the bunkers. I feel like that's the best. That's the most consistent spot to go. I would go with one or two backspin or three backspin in the case of straight on tailwind, and that should get you nice and close. Just my main thing I want to stress here is elevation. Remember the elevation and get your putt. Don't have to rely on a perfect chip.
I would like to add something as well. I don't know if you did cover that, but I think the club selection is very important here. Choose the Goliath over the backbone. Even though you have
Yes.
a Goliath in a lower level than what the backbone is having, that the backbone is generally a better club than the Goliath. But you do have a difference of around 15 yards with the Goliath and the backbone. And if you use a backbone, you need to play with a power 3 ball to get to the same landing spot that we do want with the Goliath. So have that in mind when you play, please, because otherwise you're going to be pushed to play on the right side of the bunker, and that spot is insanely tough because the ball guideline is going right, left, center, and we don't really know how the ball is going to bounce. But from the second tee, we're going to pump up the elevation adjustment a little bit more. We're going to play 35% downhill. Those 5% is not going to give that much, but that is the number that I would like to choose and advise from as well. We're going to play the same spot. I would say from second and third tee we might going to play a little bit more to the left of that bunker to give ourselves room, if we do have tailwind, to adjust backwards instead of dropping down into the sand to get a lower trajectory and mess up in that way. We're going to be adjusting on the left side of the bunker instead. Have in mind that the club selection here is important as well, especially from the third tee. If you do play with a power 3 ball, you play with a cataclysm, like an upgraded cataclysm or maybe a guardian, you're going to play in max distance of your club if you play in crosswind or in tailwind. If you do in headwind, then you're going to go over to a driver. So in this case, I would say that if we do have tailwind, we're playing with a wood club and a power 3 ball. If we do have crosswind or headwind, we're going to change and play with a more less power ball but with more wind resistance from the third tee and use a driver, what is called the quarterback or as an example. The rock would be possible as well, but the quarterback would be my go-to club. So that is something to really have in mind for this tough par 3. Do not expect an hole-in-one on this one because the elevation just makes it very tough. There is no rough bump, there's no sand bump. We're just going to bounce it on the fairway. Hope we get it at least as close so we do have a very easy putt for a birdie. Last but not least, we do have hole number 9, par 5. And how do we play this one from the front tee?
I think I forgot to put a number in front of my elevation. I just put the second number in.
Okay.
I got 0%. That can't be right. That can't be right. You don't go from 30% to 0, do you, Tommy? Is this flat on the drive?
First time there should always be a first time, I guess.
All right. Then we're going with it's flat, guys. We got a flat drive here, which makes things a lot easier, especially if you're trying to get really close to a rough area. You can really trust your wind, without making a mistake. So don't accidentally go, oh, everything's been 10, 20, or 30%. 0% here, extra mile, layup or jump. Honestly, I think jumping is definitely going to be the way to go because it'll set up your second shot, possibly taking away a stroke, which is what we want to do. But if you're not that sure about your ability, depending on the wind, to jump over into that second area of fairway where that second black box is, it's always better to use a wood club from where the first black box is than to use a rough iron or even worse, maybe a sand wedge. But if you do have confidence in your ability to go ahead and jump over, that will set you up with an excellent big dog shot. Now, wait a minute. They flipped it on us. We have 10% on our second shot. So 10% adjustment with the big dog. Assuming you make the jump, you're going to land right where that next black box is with your big dog. Or potentially, please correct me if I'm wrong, if you are able to reach over to the last area of fairway where the green is, obviously you're going to want to use backspin there. But if you're going to land where that first black box is, the wind is going to be heavily dependent on how much spin you're going to use in either direction.
That is correct, and I would say, like, normally, if we do have to, normally, it seems like I'm playing this one for ages, but at least for those tryouts I've done with both tailwind, crosswind, and headwind, we're going to use a general of 3 to 5 bars of topspin if we play before the rough there. 3 if tailwind, 4 if crosswind, 5 if headwind. So that's a good reference to go with, and that's going to be the same as we're going to play from the other tees. And yes, we're going to follow the black line from second and third tee as well, if we can. If we do have a headwind, we need to lay up. We will not be able to bounce over the rough. Not going to be possible. But if we do have a crosswind, I would almost consider us to play with a power 4 or power 5 ball to not have to rely on an absolute smashed overpowered shot. We could play down to the right as well. Playing down to the right is going to require a lot of curl, and that's always going to be tricky, because we need to have in mind here that if we just get into the rough or into the sand, we're not going to be able to reach for the green in 2. Not going to happen. So then I do suggest, if so, that we do lay up close to the rough there on top instead. Let's say we have a massive left to right crosswind with a little bit of headwind, then it could be better to lay up according to the first black mark there, and then go with the second shot with a slight overpower to get it to the green, because we're going to have some tailwind, if so, for the second shot instead, or at least straight crosswind. This is going to be a tough one with headwind, for sure, from any tee, especially second and third tee. But if we do have tailwind, this one is going to be a pretty simple one, as we're going to have no problem to get over to the second black mark and then go to bounce over the rough or go directly to the green. So I hope crosswind or headwind on this one, that would be a fun way to change it, or a tough way to end it up with as well. As RJ say, no elevation adjustment for first shot, 10% downhill for the second one. So, that was everything. Oh my god. 9 holes of the Maple Bay, as it's called, and it's the Winter Major Tournament. And the Major is always so exciting. You're able to win more clam points than normal. It's pumped up by 50% than normal. So, it might be the chance for you to get up to a division that you either belong in or that you maybe want to give it a try on. If you do, once again, want to get these text guides, you can find a link in the video description down below. You get a link to the imgur file. You can download it to your computer, phone, the tablet, or text screen, or whatever you want to do. You can also get the updated text guides, and the updated text guides are guides that I make when the tournament win is revealed. And I'm going to share you the notes that I'm playing with myself. So if I do have an adjustment when I go in and play on stream, that's the one that I'm going to advise in the updated text guide. So those ones are better, but they are only for people on Patreon. So check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy if you will be taking try it out, see if it is something for you. But I'm very positive that it will bring you some help in the tournament play. You that do like study in any form or practice will have a huge advantage over your opponent that doesn't. It's new holes. We're going to see people mess up on places that you feel like, how the curse word could this person mess up there, but you play a very safe shot. And that's something to very, very much bring into this tournament as well. And that is why I do believe the scores are going to be higher than normal, which I also hope, because it's not fun to go in and see a minus 30, 32 or something like that on the top of your bracket. But we'll see what happens. And once again, thank you so much for watching the video here from both of us. Go in, subscribe to the channel from both of us, and then we're going to stream as well during the week. So you come on late on Monday. Are you streaming any special days otherwise, are there, or how does it look?
No, normal schedule. Late on Monday because I got to go see the doctor, and then normal time about 7 p.m. Eastern on every other day.
Lovely, and I'm going to be on around like directly now when the tournament starts. I'm going to be on at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central European Time, was an 8 a.m. GMT time, I think it is. So I'm going to be on and play all the divisions directly. So check it out directly when the tournament starts. I'm going to be feeling like a beginner directly when it starts, as I do not know the win. It's going to be exciting. So thank you once again for watching, and I will let RJ end it up as normal here on the channel.
Happy stroking.
Happy stroking.